Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, the quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Well, we've got quite a bit of price action. Been extremely busy, so might have missed a day or two there with the videos. Just setting up the group and everything, getting everybody acquainted, and taking care of a couple of personal things as well. Not to mention the heat has been just absolutely atrocious lately. So let's jump right into it. Today we're going to look at something a little different. I have the Bitcoin futures chart, the CME up here. I'm on the daily right now, and I want to take a look at the big picture and see what's really going on. Everybody has lost sight of this chart. Everyone is super focused all the time on institutional money and how institutional money is coming into the space, and how, like, you know, the masses are coming and these big funds are coming and they got to have $1 million just to get in and $100,000 just to invest and all this stuff. But, you know, nobody is talking about this chart. And this is the most important chart. You know, it really is. This is, you know, CME has changed everything. From the moment that CMEs were introduced into the space and you then had the ability to short, you basically, like, you know, leverage could short. You didn't have to have spot Bitcoin to sell. It changed the entire game. We have been in a downtrend ever since then. So I'm going to switch over real quick to the monthly, and we're just going to kind of break this down. Like, this is literally when CME is open. CME is open right here at, you know, 20,780. It opened, and it literally sold off for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 months in a row. And they got a relief rally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months relief rally. So, you know, and then obviously we had quite a bit of price action since then and everything. You know, that's fine. But I just want people to keep all this in perspective, because if this is, you either decide this is either important or it's not, you know, and it seems like everybody has decided how important it is, but all of a sudden they're forgetting after we got that push back up for 5 months, you know, that nice rally back up, put in a clearly lower high. That's a downtrend. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months again down, put in a higher low. So that's good. So now we got basically a triangle forming. And then from there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months technically of higher. Really, this one opened up lower and then moved up to the top. So you can count that however you want. But, you know, we're basically at this point now where, you know, we have to decide. You know, people are saying this is bullish because we took out this previous peak on traditional markets, but they're losing sight of actual CMEs. And now look, we haven't gotten a negative wick yet on this histogram, but if we do, it's going to be business. And this month closes very soon. So we're literally at decision time. Now this is the most important part. This is what everyone is focused on right here. On traditional markets, we put in a higher high right here. We put in a higher close here. But the problem is it happens while these markets are closed. This was shut down. It's not open. Okay? So does that count? No, it doesn't. I mean, it does. You can count it for whatever you want. You can use whatever you want. But to me, that's a divergence between, you know, price between markets. So this close right here, although it was higher than this on the micro, this is the macro close we needed to take out. We needed to come up here, come back down, put in a higher low, and then come up and put in a higher high than this. But we failed to do that. So could we bounce right here and continue up? Yeah, 100%. We definitely could. We could get something like this where we bounce off of the 8 and then get a violent move to the upside. And I would not rule that out at all. In which case, you know, we could come up to 15, 17, 18,000, whatever. And then once we take this out, blue sky breakout, let's go. But what is telling me things are different is, one, traditional markets are breaking out to all-time highs. Consistently, daily, regularly, you know, in the United States stock market. Gold, retested all-time high. Lots of other assets. Real estate in the United States is all-time highs. You know, there's lots of other stuff. Meanwhile, you know, we're printing money and the economy is weak. Very, very weak. So this is all like hyperinflated. Well, with the market cap of crypto, the market cap of Bitcoin, why is Bitcoin not making new highs yet? It would take so little money for us to move up here, and yet we're at like 50% of our all-time highs. So that's number one, what I'm worried about. Now look, the histogram is above the negative slope line, so if we stay up here long enough, we're going to flip it over blue, and then we'll get like a long-term trending trade to the upside, which is excellent. That's great. But in the meantime, we are in the bearish distribution zone. You can stay in that for months. That's fine. Once you get that hard sell though, and it starts coming down, that's when you got to worry. We bounced this once already. Right here, barely bounced it once already. But now we bounce right back into the bearish control zone. So if we do not maintain price up here now and continue moving to the upside, nothing, we have no choice but you know, these oscillator indicator will basically just converge and then finally cross, and then we will get the dump, the sell to the downside. We will get the hard sell out of the bearish control zone like this, which is like the most reliable, you know, basically the most reliable part of this indicator. Same way that the you know, that the buy coming out of the bullish control zone is you know, very reliable as well. And then, you know, you got like these kind of ones right here are much less reliable. So could we get another one of these and then consolidate? Yeah, we could definitely consolidate in this range. And I think honestly right now, the longer we stay in this range and stay up here above the 8, the more healthy it is. But the second we come down here and we start laying on the 8, which is going to put us at, you know, basically 11,000, the longer we just lay there for, the longer we just go sideways, the more likely it is that we're going to come down and test the 21. And that's going to be back down to like the 10, 10.2 range, depending on how long it takes to get there. But the way this parabolic slope, the parabolic SAR is coming up here and how violent it's coming up, it literally will get more and more intense until finally, you know, that's the way this works. It's like exponential. So the slope will continue to increase like that until finally, you know, it touches price or price moves away from it. So we're going to get something like this where eventually it will go into, you know, a bearish trend, a consolidation range, or something like that. So we need to be very careful and keep our eyes peeled for that, because this looks good, but a lot of times once the histogram gets over the slope line, you won't just immediately get like massive price action to the upside. You know, you're not just going to get like straight continuation all the time. So, but these two, this right here, and then also the moving averages are telling me, you know, we could be topping out right here, or at least, you know, moving down temporarily, or at least getting, you know, a decent retracement or consolidation. But it's less likely at this point in time if you have one indicator telling you something and then you have one indicator telling you something different, or 2 and 1 or whatever. You know, we don't have that confluence that we're looking for. And now here, if we switch down to the daily time frame, which just closed, yes, we sold off and opened back above the 21. We sold off again below it and then reopened again at the 21. And both times, or really I should say like essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, we could not get above the 8. And we're in, the parabolic SAR is telling us we're in a downtrend. And the histogram in red is underneath the slope line. And the slope line is still blue. So what happens when we go underneath the slope line? Well, we sell off. And we eventually drag that slope line back over and it's going to flip it red. So could we consolidate like this and then potentially find support and then get a continuation to the upside? That is 100% possible, definitely possible, and even likely, I would say, at this point in time. So here's where our cross is. This is our whole consolidation range. Find support on the 50-55 and then boom, back up to the upside. But you'll notice we get multiple green histograms in a row way before that ever happens. You'll notice the blue crosses above. We get the hard buy. It crosses above the purple, comes down, finds support, and then we get continuation. You'll notice then we go into the bearish control zone. We get the hard sell, but we do not exit the bearish control zone. So we did get like continuation at that point in time. This is a little less reliable because we didn't exit the bearish control zone right away, but we got the hard sell. So after that, we get this violent sell-off, but price really didn't move down that bad. So could this just be the oscillator indicator resetting? Yes, of course, that's definitely a possibility. But if we take too long, what's going to happen is this orange is going to flip back over. That's our weekly, and then we're going to get continuation on that one as well. And the last time when the orange flipped over here, you know, was basically May 20th of 2008. So it was on top from 2008, May 20th, until, you know, found support here and continued. So that's quite a while. Oh, wait. Did I say that right? No. Hang on. May 8th, 2020. I'm sorry. I completely said that wrong. So May 8th, 2020. So that's months basically that we've been in this area. Man, it really is. It's been a long couple of days. So anyway, what it looks like basically is going to happen here. It looks like we're going to get one more test up here. We're going to open back here. Are we going to bounce from there, or are we just going to do what we've been doing? Are we just going to get that sell-off? And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to get the sell-off, and I think we're going to come down here and test that 50-55. We already broke down from this range. We put in the high. We put in a low that's lower than that previous swing right here. So, essentially we could get the push back up and just put in a lower high again. And, before we get continuation, in which case I would expect us to come as high as 12,000. Maybe not quite as high if we're like a little more bearish, but it would prevent the cross of that 8 and 21. And then we could get like continuation to a key fib level, retracement, 618 or whatever, and then sell off. And then that's going to look like a massive head and shoulders. That'll be our shoulder that just hasn't developed yet right here. So that looks like that's definitely a possibility right now. But because we're underneath this slope line, because we didn't find any support right here, because we're not able to essentially push back up here and we're just consolidating between these two, they're going to tighten up, and then usually the next move is going to be violent. And typically what you'll see is, it'll start going down and then get a pop up and fail and sell off. Or it'll just go like sideways, and then down. So essentially what it looks like is going to happen is it looks like we're coming down to like 10.8. Now, is it possible to come up to a key fib and put in that shoulder and then sell off? Yeah, 100%. And that would give us a solid neckline. It would give us the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and then, measure move down. That's great. Probably come down here to like the 89 or the 55 simple, right in this 10,000 range, basically. But we are very far away from the 200 moving averages. And typically, the further you get from the 200 moving averages, the more violent it's going to be when you come back to see them. And you will come see them eventually. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, might not even be for 6 months, might not be for a year. But when you do, you're coming to see them. And the 200 exponential is at 9,000, 200 simple is at 8830. So if we just decided we're going to come see them tomorrow, that's a hell of a sell-off. Now I don't think that's going to happen. I literally would bet against that happening. But at this point in time, it looks more likely than not that we're going to get continuation. Now, we are sort of putting in a channel right here and potentially going to break, and that would give us our fib target, move up, our 618 fib target, which is basically going to put us back at that 12,000 range, put in that lower high, put in that shoulder, and then we get the sell-off. And I think that's probably most likely what's going to happen. But we have to be very careful right now because, literally the presidential election is a couple months away. It's absolute craziness going on right now. I mean, it's nuts. And crypto is not showing strength in the way that you would expect it to, with everything else going on. And, this whole argument that as the system potentially crashes down, crypto's going to explode, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the system's potentially crashing down now. They're printing money faster than and more than they've ever printed ever, all throughout the world, not even just in the United States. And we're not seeing that strength. We're not seeing it come in. And that makes me very cautious. And we're very close to just flipping this back over and getting continuation to the downside. So can the bulls come in and jump up and get after this and get a move up? Yes. Is it going to break out to a new high? That seems very unlikely to me at this point in time. But again, it's possible. Maybe people are just waiting to move their money as soon as traditional markets start crashing or top out or whatever. They'll see value in this space and then we can get continuation. But let's switch over now to Dixie, the dollar index. Okay, this is basically showing the strength of the dollar. And if you're familiar with this and you follow this on a regular basis, you're probably not going to be surprised at what I'm about to show you, and it's going to make you think twice. Basically just about what we were just talking about and every other asset. The dollar essentially has been selling off for a long time, putting in consistently lower highs for a long time. But inside of that, obviously, the market's going to breathe. We're going to see those movements. And right now, we broke down from a key support right here, breaking down from it, losing support, coming down to test the 200 moving averages. So on the monthly, this looks like it could potentially get continuation. We got the red slope line. We're underneath. We try to come up and retest it. We got the move back up. What does this pattern look similar to? Sort of looks like Bitcoin. We come up, put in the shoulder, put in the head, come down, break the shoulder slightly. This came down a little more violently, and then we come back up. That's what I was describing basically. We come back up, put in another lower high, and then sell off. But these oscillator indicators are getting exhausted. They're getting tired. Histogram's selling off here. Could it keep going down? Could we get this measure move all the way down here to like $80? 47? Of course we could. But I don't know. I'm just not sure that's what's going to happen. And then when we switch over to the weekly, it's going to kind of change your perspective on everything the same way it does mine. I watch this all the time. But typically what happens, we get that bullish control zone area. It's going to hang out down here. We'll build like, that first buy, doesn't exit the bullish control zone, sells off, start putting in divergences. This is down here at the bottom. This comes back down, but not as low, but it puts in a lower low. That's divergence, bullish, boom, we move up. Continuation since basically February of 2018 brings us all the way to now. Basically almost September of 2020. So we got like, essentially 2.5 years of this consolidation, like uptrend right here, and then attempted up and then selling off. So what we need to figure out now is this break right here past the 377.528, are we going to lose this right here and continue selling off? Well, let's look at where the histogram's at here. Histogram's like in the bottom of the range, where you would expect potentially to find support. Now, could we find support, move back up, retest the breakdown, break down again, down here, put in divergence, and then continue? Yes. But it's signaling that we're likely to get a pop-up very soon. A retest of the breakdown, a movement to the upside, a bullish retracement of the bearish dump, and then continue sell-off, divergence, and then we could take a long out of this area. But this is extremely exhausted. I mean, we have never seen the jewel down here this low before. We have now also the monthly cross violently, and the monthly is getting down to the lower zone. The monthly is at 40 right here. The top one obviously takes a lot longer to get there, but as you can see, the slope was up here, and then it's down this whole time, and then it's up here, and then it's down this whole time. So we could expect that to keep going for a while. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to top out or bottom out anytime soon, because we could basically bottom out in this area, and that would be exactly what we're saying. Confluence pop up, sell back off. But when this pop up happens right here, this relief rally, this bullish retracement of the bearish dump, when this happens right here, that is going to basically mean US dollar is strengthening. And what that's going to signal or symbolize is all that money probably pulling out of the stock market, out of crypto, out of real estate. It's basically just cash getting strong because everybody wants it. So, or maybe just like Europe and every other country just prints money so fast that it causes, the dollar to go up because they're not printing as fast. But that's not very likely. That's not very likely at all because they're printing like crazy. We did like 7 trillion already or something like that. So is it possible with this new deal in Europe and all this stuff and all the different countries, that they start pumping out cash so fast that it makes the dollar get stronger? Yeah, it's possible. But in all reality, like everybody's printing so fast right now that it would be more likely that that money comes from somewhere else, or that interest comes from someone else, or that strength comes from somewhere else. And where's it going to come from? Probably the falsely inflated stock market. Probably right as we get closer to the election, as the numbers start coming in, the polls start coming in, as it gets crazier over here, as potentially like Biden's numbers strengthen, that's going to be essentially like bad for the stock market, because everybody knows like he's blatantly saying like he's going to tax the stock market, tax the rich, like, they're coming after all this money, socialism time, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'm not for or against this, whatever, that's fine. I think all of the politics is total crap. I think the politicians are crap. I think it's all super corrupt. I think it's all basically, a bunch of division going on right now in our country and in our world to distract people from what really matters. And what really matters is like, we essentially have like a class system, a ruling class, and then, like the subservient, like bottom class. And then, there's like the actual, like, used to be middle class, which basically, is the one that's getting, I don't want to say hurt the most, but, if you're on the bottom, you probably don't have much to lose. If you're on the top, you can afford to lose a bunch and still be okay. But the people in the middle, those are the ones that only have one house, only have like, decent car, decent job, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the people that really suffer and that really get like tore apart in this type of move right here, and what's going on in the economy. So that's what we really have to be careful of. And this is looking right here like basically we are bottoming out, and we're going to potentially get that move up, come back down, sell off, and then put in that divergence, and then we can potentially get like the real move. But that pop up is going to be violent, and when we get that, that's going to be intense. If we only come up and test the green parabolic line, we're looking at a few percent. If we come up and test the blue one, we're looking at like closer to 5%. That's going to put us in line with the 200 moving averages, simple and exponential, at like 95.74. And to me, that's what it looks like is going to happen. That's the most likely thing that's going to happen. So how does this relate to Bitcoin? Why am I even looking at this chart right now? Because it makes sense the same way that we got that violent sell-off and everything, like earlier when everything hit and there was all the scares in the market and everything. It makes sense that if the same thing happens in traditional markets, the same thing's going to happen in these markets, because they're clearly correlated. And they're not correlated like people were saying in the same way, like directly or inversely or whatever, but they are correlated. It's the same money. So the patterns aren't always the same, but we definitely see some patterns playing out. And if they were directly correlated, we would see Bitcoin at all-time highs. And we're not seeing crypto at all-time highs. We're seeing a couple cryptos at all-time highs, but that's only just because people FOMO into the strongest ones. It doesn't mean they're the best projects or they're good or they're going to solve anything. So now here we are on the daily, and let's check this out. We basically were moving to the upside, curving back down, getting this sell-off. And what's happening now? We put in one drive here, and it pushed down real hard. We got the hard buy, and almost no strength came out of it. Rejected. Didn't even make it to 21. Second time, we sold off again. We sold off more violently, put in a lower low, but with the smaller histogram, with the smaller push on the jewel. So divergence. We got the pop up. This time we made it to the 21, but sold back off again. And now here we are. We closed again at the same low. And look, what did we do? We put in a smaller peak, even less. So now we have 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish divergence in a row. We took a ton of energy to barely get down. We took less energy to get down even lower. And then we took almost no energy to get back down to the same level. And this on the daily, the weekly is all closed. Everything's closed now. And this is it. These are all printed in the books. So this is clearly divergence. 3 drives of divergence, a bottoming pattern, after a long sell-off. So what is the most likely thing that's going to happen right here? I think we're going to get a Fibonacci retracement. And, anywhere from like basically the golden zone, like 382 to the 0.5 seems the most realistic. So let's take a look from high to low and see what we can kind of expect. And I think realistically, this is what we're looking at. If we get this move right here, this bounce right here off this area, and that's it, like bottomed out, move back up. First thing we're going to do is test that 236 and the 50s and the breakdown area. But if we get a more powerful move, we come up to 89, 382, potentially all the way up to the 200s, exponential and simple at the 0.5. It's going to put us at 97. But realistically, the 618 is what I would expect. So is it possible we get like the throw over to the bottom and then push all the way back up to the top of the triangle that we're in, hit the 618, and then we get the sell-off? Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't think it's that strong though, but it could be. We could pay attention to it. It's not just going to happen overnight. We'll see it happening. But essentially, if we get at least the 382 and then come down and put in divergence, and then we can turn this whole trend around potentially, or we could sell back off down to our targets on the bottom. But when this move comes in, it's going to come in strong. It's going to be violent. It's going to be very violent. And we have literally 3 levels of bullish divergence. So could this come back down here again and put in another push down? Yeah, we could get a 4th one. It's possible for sure. But histogram is now above the slope line. The slope line has been flipped back over to blue. We got the hard buy right here. We get 1, 2 more pushes down with divergence. We're starting to get the indicator oscillator moving back to the upside. The longer time frame one, the weekly, is at the bottom of the range also. Basically at the actual bottom support right here. So what does it look like is going to happen? This was like essentially the cross right here came all the way down on the yellow or the orange and white. And now it looks like we're about to move back up and round back up. Now could we round back up, get rejected in the center line and come back on? Yeah, that's the most likely thing that's going to happen, I think. But that's going to line up with exactly what we're talking about. And that's going to be a bunch of money coming out of, essentially stock market, real estate, all these different bubbles that we have going on right now, and into the dollar, or that demand for dollars all of a sudden going to be strong. And now, does it have to last? No. It could just be a pop up and then sell back off and weaken again. And that would, basically correspond with like, presidential election goes through, whoever wins, they print a bunch of money, weaken the dollar even more, and then we sell back off. And then finally, the dollar is still strong because it is the world reserve currency. So is it going to be weaker in the future? Yes. Is it going to be the world reserve currency forever? Most definitely not. But that is going to take years for it to happen. That switch takes years to happen. Right now, like so many things are settled through dollars. So many people trust that the dollar is stronger than their currency right now, no matter how much, United States looks like it's falling apart. So everything points to potentially a move up here, which points to like weakness in the markets. Bitcoin dominance has been selling off violently for a long time. Broke down from the 377 and the 528. Came all the way down here, found support, consolidating in this range. Histogram is moving back to the upside. The slope has turned blue. We were at the bottom range. We were in the bullish control zone. We got the hard buy. We're moving up. Same thing is happening with the longer time frame as well. All the way at the bottom of the range, looking like it's getting ready to move up. So is it possible this thing's going to bounce up here and get rejected off the 377, 528, and 200s? Of course, man. Bitcoin dominance at like 65. That's not unrealistic. But is it going to stay at 61? Is it going to continue selling off right here? It's possible, but when it does, again, that's going to mean one of two things. Either Bitcoin is stronger than everything else. So that means like either it's moving up violently faster than altcoins are, or it means altcoins are moving down and Bitcoin is dumping less. So, and I think that's most likely what's going to happen. But regardless, it looks like that Bitcoin dominance is going to go up here. Now look, we put in this bottom, higher low, and then we got up here to the 200s. And when we hit the 200, we got rejected, but we barely got rejected by both of them. And then we consolidated at both of them forever. The 200 simple is dark, the 200 exponential is light. But we consolidated on them forever, and then we sold off, came back down to the 89, found support, moved back up, found support, moved back up, retested them again. But look what's rejecting it the whole time. That's a 200 simple. Came up, rejected, came up, broke above it, came back down, found support, broke down below it again, found support again. Now, are we just ramping up for this big move? That's what it looks like to me. Are we going to retest this 200 exponential? When price action consolidates at moving averages, whether it's on top of them or below them for long enough, it eventually breaks through. Same way it broke through, this 89 was holding it up, and it consolidated too long and then broke through. That could be our throwover, big move up here, because we need that momentum to break through the 200 exponential. But we're going to come through this 200 simple right here. It looks like red slope for a long time. Histogram is down at the bottom of the range again. Could it keep selling off? Could we get like violent dump like this? For sure. We could definitely come back down here and retrace like the 618 of this entire move. But the way we're consolidating up here at the moving averages, even after the bearish cross right here, it looks like we're at least going to get an attempt back to the upside. And again, that's going to mean Bitcoin is stronger. It doesn't have to be stronger than everything else, but it's stronger than the other crypto markets. So that's a lot of things telling me that we're going to have violent moves very soon. And, people are losing sight of very important things, in traditional markets and in crypto markets. And, they're getting cocky, saying we're going to the upside or saying that we're going to dump. There's a lot of things that point to bullish right now. There's a lot of things that point to bearish right now. There's a lot of things that say we could just consolidate. And I think that might be the best thing for Bitcoin right now. Consolidate while everything else goes to shit. And then, start building confidence. But at this point in time, I'm not particularly bullish and I'm not particularly bearish in this specific asset. I think this thing is going to move based on what happens in the rest of the world. And based on what's going on with everything else right now, the fact that it's not found strength through all these months of, printing money and pumping out, all this bullishness and all these big moves and how small the market cap is and all this talk about institutional money. And they've been saying that for years. They've been talking about institutional money for, what, 3 years now or whatever. And in that time, all we've been doing is going down, putting in lower highs. So I think we need to be very careful in this market right now. I think that's enough for today. I just want everybody to pay attention and realize that there's no clear idea or direction what's going on here, but there's a couple very strong indicators, a couple things that are very important to pay attention to right now. And to tell you the truth, I think they point down to like that 10,000 range, possibly even like the mid 9,000s or low 9,000s. So let's be careful we don't come down here and test these 200s on a violent sell-off. And if you're in traditional markets, I hope you took those profits. If if you got a position that's up 100%, let's take half off the table, and play with the market's money. That way, profits are only profits once they're realized. So we need to take them early and often. And I think we're closer to the top than we are to the bottom on all these things. So we need to be very careful. But that's enough doom and gloom. And I'm just trying to warn everybody, I see these things coming ahead of time. And what I see coming, definitely potential to the upside long term. Definitely, even a pop-up short term. And, come back up here. And, we can fib it real quick and just give you an idea what I'm talking about. If we come from this high right here and we take it to the bottom right here, that wick, where is that going to put us at? Let's look for some confluence. If we came up to the 618, that would put us right here. So a move up to the 618 is going to line up perfectly, with what we were just talking about happening, basically. And how does that look, on the scale of things? I mean, we've been looking at this for a while, guys. It's going to look a lot more like a head and shoulders if we come up high. Could we move this down to the wicks? Could we get a flat line? Could we consolidate for weeks upon weeks right here? Yeah, definitely. Do we need to pop right up immediately? No, but it could have happened like next week or, next month for sure. And I think realistically like 12,000, somewhere around there is like very likely, very high likelihood. But it's also very high likelihood that this plays out, this cross that's about to happen plays out, and we get that violent dump. And that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at that violent dump potentially to the downside. And that's going to be exactly what it takes to shake people out. Or maybe we get that dump down here, retest, that shakes people out, and then we get to move back up, But right now, this is danger zone, danger, Will Robinson. Be very careful in these markets. We got to protect our capital. That's number one priority. So, and as far as I just want to touch base, the overwhelming amount of people that have reached out is absolutely awesome. I would have started the group a long time ago had I realized there was this much demand for it. I had no idea. I mean, this has been a one-way street for me for a year where I basically just put out content based on what I think you guys want. I put out videos trying to teach you, trying to help you learn, trying to teach you about position sizing, management. But overall, people want to see the indicators and how to use them, and people want to see my daily TA. But the truth is, there's so much more important stuff, such as building a solid foundation. And, I've been talking about putting out a course for a while now, and I have completed the outline for the course. And I just was getting ready to shoot them and everything, and the quality just is not that great, obviously. I want to do it in HD. Before I put all this work into it and everything, I want to have the camera on so you guys can see my face. And, I can make this a little more personable, and get to know you and, relate to you. And I just feel like overall it'd be a better experience, especially if I can up that quality before I put a bunch of work into it. And that's why I started the group, was essentially so the community could give back a little bit. And instead of me just buying a new computer and new setup and all this stuff out of pocket, I want to give the community an opportunity. And they have shown overwhelming support. I have ordered just about everything. I'm sourcing still a couple more specific components. It's a very nice setup. It is expensive. And, I'm paying a lot out of pocket still, and I have no problem with that. The fact of the matter is you guys have shown your support, and I am exponentially grateful for it. I am very thankful for each and every one of you. I'm very thankful for the group and getting to know each and every one of you that is in the group. And I look forward to being able to now turn that back around and reciprocate it not only to the group members, but to the whole community with better quality content, higher quality videos, with the free course, with the education, with all the stuff that I've been wanting to bring to you, and all the stuff that I have been bringing to you guys, but even better. And for that, I just want to say thank you all for your generosity, and for your faith in my knowledge, and for your humbleness in my teachings, because I can see a clear difference in just going through a couple hours of very specific things and teaching people the very basic specific things of my trading plan, and my setups and everything, and building that solid foundation so that we can then build essentially an empire on top of it. And that is basically what's happening right now. So sometimes you don't see me right in front of your face working. You don't see me put out a video for a couple days or whatever. Don't you think for 1 second that I'm not working on this channel. And the most important thing to me is to make this educational, make this honest and functional, not sell out, not shill shit coins, not give in to corruption, and basically build a community that is good people that want to further themselves. Because the amount of support and the amount of gratitude that the group and the community has showed me over these last few videos, and the amount of comments and positive energy and all this stuff is just absolutely overwhelming. And I fucking love you guys. And I appreciate that so much. You have no idea. Because for a long time, there was even a time when I thought about, what am I even doing this for? I don't even think people care about these videos. I got 80 or 100 people watching them. I'm thinking, all right, is this channel dying? What's going on here? And, it's the opposite. It's absolutely been blowing up. And it doesn't have to blow up with views. I don't care if I have 1 million people in the community. I actually, it's the opposite. I don't want 1 million people. I don't want, 100 people in the group. That's why it's so restricted right now. Because I just want quality people. I just want to help people and help them learn. And I want them to be able to help their families. And then I can exponentially give back that way. Because I can't just reach out and help everybody's family. But I can tell you right now that by helping people and building a solid foundation, and then being able to grow on top of that, they will help their families, and then they'll be able to help each other, help other people. And that's already been taking place. And I'm absolutely loving, the community and all the comments and all the, likes and support and everything that everyone's been showing. So, you guys have my absolute gratitude. I'm very thankful for everything, especially in these crazy times, in these difficult times. And that's why I don't want to have to charge people for anything. I don't want to have to put ads on my videos. I don't want to have to sell out to some shill project or exchange or whatever. And I'm not going to. So don't you think for 1 second that because you're not in the group, that you're not a part of this community. You are 100% a part of this community. That group is just specifically for people that wanted a little something extra and are willing to basically reciprocate that favor to everyone else in the community. So if you're not part of the group, that's fine. Don't think that it means you're not part of this, okay? It's the opposite. Those people are putting in the work and putting in the effort and making contributions that will benefit everyone. So while I'm working on everything right now and I'm getting the rest of this stuff set up and everything, I might miss a video here and there. I might miss a little price action, but the truth is we're waiting on some resolution right now. So we've been taking some scalps to the upside, scalps to the downside. I mean, we had a couple great weeks. I mean, I think we did I can't speak for everyone in the group, but we did over 20%, back and forth without even using our entire capital in our trade account and everything. So it's been absolutely stellar, and I expect that to continue. And I cannot wait to hit an actual bull market. I cannot wait to get the new setup and be streaming live and speaking with you guys in person. I'm absolutely ecstatic for it. So, but I just wanted to basically touch on that and, basically say that right now we're waiting for some resolution, and it could take a couple months. And I think that would be realistic because it would line up with basically the fundamentals. It would line up with the election. It would line up with some of these moves we're talking about. Push up and then strong move down. All this stuff lines up, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that confluence and everything. So, but I am very close to getting all this going. Hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll have the rig set up. I'll have everything sourced out and in my hands and have this thing built, and I will start doing the course. And at that point in time, it shouldn't take me that long to actually film it and edit it and put it out there. And that will be available for everyone for free. And, I'm absolutely ecstatic to be able to do that for you guys. And the truth is, yes, I could have just paid for everything by myself. But I put a ton of time into this channel. And, I guess I just wanted to feel like anybody. I want to feel validated. I wanted to feel wanted. And whatever I pictured or was hoping that I would feel from you guys, you've blown it out of the water exponentially. you have crushed any expectations that I've ever had for this channel already. And that's it. That doesn't, I mean, I didn't know a lot about YouTube when I started this channel and everything. I knew a lot about TA, but I didn't know a lot about YouTube. And, I expected like big growth and fast numbers and all this stuff. And then I realized before long that, only the Moon Boys get big. But, they get big and they get small, and they get big and they get small. But, they get their whole audience wrecked and everything. And I don't want that. I'd rather have a couple hundred awesome people, a couple hundred just quality people, in the group. And not even in the group, but in the community. And, I love having the group and everything, but I just don't want it to be out of control. I don't want it to be one of those raunchy groups where anything goes. I don't want there to be so much noise that you can't even tell what's going on. I don't want it to be some stressful thing that I have to micromanage or babysit or whatever. I want it to be, good people hanging out, teaching each other, learning. The new people show up. The old guys help them out. In time, they become, moderators. They become a part of it. I want to grow this whole thing up. But, I want to do it together. And, I want to do it so it's mutually beneficial to everyone. And I want the people that are not in a position to, show support financially, that show support in the comments and that have been around for whatever. I want those people to be able to benefit as well. And then other people that are in a position where they can show support financially, that are essentially like, you're basically just, you're like getting a scholarship. You're buying a scholarship for the people that can't afford to go to college. You're making donations, to the food bank that feeds, the people. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's what this is all about. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of the members in the community, even those of you that have, butted heads with me in the past and, left the channel with your angriness. And even when you show back up and did the same thing again and again. And, you bought every top and sold every bottom and got wrecked over and over again. But now here you are back again. And I'm glad to have you back in the community. But the truth is, I'm not going to call you out by name, but you're not going to trick me into letting you in the group. I know exactly who you are. And I was messing with you because I know exactly who you are. So stop trying to be deceptive and just apologize and be back in the crew, be back in the community. So there you have it, guys. I love y'all as a community. I'm looking out for you. I honestly have your best interest in mind. And I'm looking forward to where this thing is at in a year from now. And I know that when this computer hits and this rig is going and we're streaming and, the bright lights hit and we're live and we're getting this massive price action and we're finally in a bull market and everything's just ripping and we're basically just watching those percentages go up. I know that all this work that we put in and all this time that we put in and all this effort and this solid foundation and this beautiful community and everything that we built this together. I know it's going to be something absolutely phenomenal. And, I don't want to speak ill about anybody in the space or whatever by name. You all know how I feel about the majority of these clowns. But the truth is, we're doing something great here, and it's not going to get forgotten. We're going to be one of the top influencers. We're going to be one of the top communities, and we are going to outshine everyone else with our quality over quantity. And that's what this is really all about. So with that being said, you guys better get ready because you're probably like 2 weeks away from getting to see my face. And hey, like it or not, you're going to be watching it every video from then on out. And to tell you the truth, I cannot wait to drop these classes and this knowledge bomb on you guys. Because for those of you that are already in the living course, I'm sure you can vouch. And if you don't mind, pop up in the comments and, just say like whatever you learned or, how that living course has been. Because seeing you guys grow is absolutely amazing. I don't have kids, but I've watched my cousins and brother and, people grow up. And it's like one of the most phenomenal things, watching someone learn and watching someone grow and watching the group grow and watching like the knowledge just slowly just seep in and how much better you guys are getting and identifying patterns and just the mentality, just the psychological change of just not FOMOing in and not making bad decisions and like random people dropping bombs in the chat. Like, I'm not even in a hurry to get back into position. That's one of the things that I learned. Like, I don't always need to be in a long or in a short. Sometimes I just sit back and wait. Man, when I hear stuff like that, it blows my mind because people go 10 years in these markets. They trade their whole lives. They invest in their whole lives and never realize stuff like this. And y'all are picking it up after a couple weeks. And like the stuff about position sizing, the stuff about FOMO, the psychological aspect of it, the foundation that we're building, you know, basically with win-loss ratios and risk reward and position size and, you know, stop losses and entries and exits and not taking drawdown because we only sell tops and we only buy bottoms, and like, you know, seeing you guys get better entries on trades than I get and explaining why you took that trade, or taking the same trade I did but getting a better entry than me. I mean, that's awesome. I love it. It blows my mind away. And you know, I look forward to just blowing this whole thing up and growing this community to the next level. But the most important thing to me is and always will be quality of the content, quality of the people, and legitimate good TA, and really having each other's best interests in mind. Because the truth is, the problem with this world is everybody's just worried about their damn self or their family or their stuff or whatever. Nobody just cares about anybody else anymore the same way they used to. And that's not the way our community is. Our community is awesome. Somebody new shows up, people help them out. Somebody got a question, people answer it. I don't even have to answer it. And then they say, hey, verify, you know. That makes my life so much easier, because I like to address every single comment. I like to talk to every single person. I like to reach out to all the new people. I like to spend a little time with everyone. You know, the way that everybody is acting in this community in potentially what is one of the worst times, if not the worst time, you know, financially, economically, like just all around craziness, hurricanes, earthquakes, fires, you know, I mean, what's going to happen next? The asteroid, I mean, aliens, I don't even know. But the truth is, there's so much craziness and so much noise, and it's so stressful right now. And for everybody to just keep it together and just be so respectful and just so awesome, you know, just absolutely blows my mind. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Crypto trend trader. Crypto trend trader. And I want to say legitimately from the bottom of my heart, and from my own family to your family, thank you. And I wish you prosperity. Crypto trend trader. And I'm out of here.